and the show is here. Welcome to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Show. It is yours truly, Jimmy Bebe, and I'm joined, as always, by the man to the right of me, Albert. Albert, how the heck have you been? And I'm going to ask a different question. Not how have you been enjoying wrestling so far this week? Are you prepared for the wrestling extravaganza explosion of crazy nonsense that is coming up this weekend?
I don't think so. Like, the title of the show is Too Much Wrestling. What's that mean? And I think that it means this is like almost an embarrassment of riches, right? Like if I was I don't know, 19 or 20 years old, I would be like, guys, come over. Let's order AEW. Let's just chill all day. We'll eat pizza. Let's, watch wrestling from Saturday to Sunday, and let's, now I'm gonna soon to be old ass 40-year-old man. I have a fiance, I have other people that I have to, do things with. It gets to a point where it's like, is this too much wrestling? I'm not gonna go that far, but I'm definitely excited for Saturday night's main event. I'm definitely excited for Evolution. I'm really excited about AEW. There's a lot of good stuff going on this week and this weekend, and I'm really happy to that we have. I don't think we should ever be complaining about having too much, right?
Absolutely not. And I had to double check on this because I was like, I know Slammiversary is coming up. That's not this weekend too, is it? But it's not. It's next weekend. They weren't dumb.
Yeah, because seriously.
Yeah, that's it. That's a crazy amount of wrestling. I was just telling you, and it couldn't have come at a worse time for me because I literally am going to be traveling all weekend. So the only show I'm going to be watching live is the one that I'm probably, I don't want to say the most excited for because the build has been probably the worst of the three that I know. But I just love women's wrestling, so I'm very excited for Evolution too. And thankfully, I'll be able to watch that one live. But I got to find a way to watch All In. I'll try and watch Saturday Night Main Event on the way back on Sunday. And then NXT, I'll just kind of gauge based on what I hear. Just because it is that one that, again, I only watch NXT if I hear good things. And
I haven't been following NXT, so I'm probably not going to watch the NXT show. If there's specific matches that people will point out sometimes that are like, hey,
yes, that's exactly how I do it. Yeah.
So maybe I'll tune in that way. But for the most part, I'm looking forward to All In. I'm looking forward to definitely looking forward to Saturday Night's Main Event and Evolution as well. So
get that out there. All right, give me comments. Greetings, lads. Nick says, hey, greetings to you too, Nick. He says 40 is not old, Albert. I'll say this. It may not be old, but it's that step right before old. If you're 40, you're feeling it. You're feeling the heat of it. Ron's in the chat. What is up, Ron? And then Harry says, hey, yo, Evolution is on your birthday. Happy birthday, Harry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to let you know that you're not going to be getting the birthday present that you're wanting because Nikki Bella will be the first one eliminated from that battle royal. Sucker. Woo! Is it watching too much wrestling? What's that supposed to mean? Have you ever heard the song Too Much Fun? What's that mean? It's like too much money. There's no such thing. So that's the premise of the show. Too much wrestling. What's that mean? It's like too much money. There's no such thing. If you don't listen to country music, you probably wouldn't get the reference. So that's my fault, everybody. He's going to be 27. Well, again, happy early birthday. And Lou says, try 50. Bro, once I turn 50, all bets are off. I'm going to Australia and I'm going swimming with great white sharks. So
fighting kangaroos.
I might not make it to 51. That's what I'll say.
As Ari Gold would say, let's go down under and headbutt some kangaroos.
I'll gladly go punch a kangaroo in that. No, I don't. I love kangaroos, man. They're great. I would never. I might try and
Hardy fought one.
I'll try and hug one. I won't try.
That's
and
fair. I'll try. Matt Hardy fought one. He survived to tell the tale.
And Courtney says there's never too much wrestling. Yes, exactly. There isn't. There is such thing as not having enough time to watch all the wrestling.
Yes,
that's the issues I think we're running into at this point.
I wish I was younger, you know?
Don't worry, my present is seeing Dirty Baby Dom lose to AJ for the IC title. Harry says, bro, you're not getting that birthday present either. So your birthday you're not getting anything you want for your birthday. Sorry. That's just the way it is. But here comes the show. So because there are literally 4 wrestling shows this week, and we usually do predictions, and we don't do too much AEW, but I feel like All In is their granddaddy of them all, and they're having their 2 of the matches are like big time. And then they also Okada Omega for the first time on American soil for the fans of that. And like All In's a big show. So I feel like we're going to talk about 2 of those matches. I got 2 from Saturday Night Main Event. I got 2 from Evolution. I only got 1 from NXT. But we'll go through those and we'll see what we can get done. And at the end, if there's more time, we'll talk about anything else you guys bring up in the chat. As always, I don't want to go too far over tonight, though.
Yes, I'm hungry.
Again, there's too much wrestling for my right now, so I have to be very, very precise with my timing this week because I need to do other things. So, Nick, kangaroos are not evil, but I went and I have a picture where I'm holding a baby kangaroo, and it is one of the greatest moments of my life because it's just little sucking on my beard and just it's so happy. I don't know who's happier, the kangaroo or me. No, bro, they're not evil. They're not evil. All right, so let me pull up this list of matches that I got. I think I got like the good ones. So
can't wait.
I literally had to make this list while I was sitting in the movie before I came here.
Crazy.
Just for everybody, Megan 2 is not good. But all right, we'll start off with NXT. We'll get it out of the way because I do think this one has implications to it that go from NXT. I think this one involves a call up. I personally think whoever loses this match is getting called up.
Okay.
And if you haven't guessed which match I'm talking about Ethan Page, or he's not Ethan Page. He's Ethan Page still, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I was like, wait a second. He got to keep his name. That's why. Yeah. Ricky Saints didn't. So that's why it threw me off for a second. I was like, no, Ethan Page got to keep his name. Okay. That's crazy. Ethan Page taking on Ricky Saints for the North American Championship. So, with this match, I think it's interesting that I literally wanted this feud in AEW for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the 2 of the most underutilized guys they had who would be able to carry a feud, and you put them together, I think you're going to get good stuff. So you have Ethan Page as the North American champion who took it from Ricky Saints, and Ricky Saints is trying to get that title back. Now, I think everyone can agree that both of these guys are ready for the main roster as of right now. If they could both get caught up, it would be fine.
Yes.
But only one of them I see happening, and I see it being the loser of this. So, with that said, are you on the same page? Do you think the loser is getting called up?
Yeah, I don't know how much either one of them has left to do. So, all right, here's my thing. I think that there's more of a chance that Ethan Page gets called up because I do think that there's a world I think that we live in that I think that they might hold Ricky down in NXT a little bit longer to put the World Championship on him.
Like Harry says right here.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And I just saw on the Cody podcast, I saw a clip where he was talking about like he was more than happy to go meet HBK and kind of he's a sponge and he's like a rough diamond that can be polished. And I don't think he has any issue with staying NXT for the foreseeable future to kind of go under the tutelage of someone like Shawn Michaels, who's literally one of the greatest of all time.
Yes.
Find a way to kind of use that charisma and take him to the next level. Because if anybody can get him there, Shawn can do that.
Right. You need to ensure that he's going to connect the correct way with the WWE audience, and who's better at knowing that than what Shawn's done his entire career.
Yes. So with that, who do you think what was that?
I'm just laughing because I just love that Harry called it the Seth Riders.
It is the Seth Riders. That's what we're calling them. If they're not going to give themselves a name, we're going to continue to call them the Seth Riders. That's how I see it. And then they call Paul Heyman the Oracle now. That's dumb. But he's always
They've always had a different name for him. I kind of was waiting to see what they were going to come up with because he was an advocate, and then he was a wise man, and then everybody always had
Oracle just doesn't sound cool.
Well, fair enough.
That's me. That something vision. We're going with Seth Riders. I'm not going to come up with some good name for them because that's their job at this point. We've waited way too long. But okay, so if we think someone is getting called up, I'm glad that this got brought up here because I believe Ethan Page is losing this match because I think he is the perfect candidate to come up and join the Seth Riders. We heard Seth say that it was a plan B. They have to bring in another person because at this point they are starting to get outnumbered. No matter if they took Sammy out or not, they still have Penta, they still have CM Punk, Jay. Who else was they messing with? LA Knight. The numbers are stacking up against them, and for the heels to have the advantage, they have to not be outnumbered. It doesn't work that way. And then you have the Brute and basically Bronson and Braun Breaker. So you kind of got to have that other guy, to me. Like, in my opinion, I think you need to. And I think Ethan Page kind of just fits that mold. And I know a few people have said it, but – and also, let's not forget, Ethan Page has prior beef with CM Punk. So it would make sense for him to show up to join the Seth Riders to get some payback on Punk when that match eventually does come to fruition. After he cost them that title against Trick Williams when he was the referee.
Right.
So I think that's something that's going to come into play here. And I think that, and I don't think Ricky Saints fits in with them nearly as well.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think I think that he's a face. I know that he did really well as a heel in AEW, but I think that's after he gets as a face in WWE.
That was the case because he didn't fit the mold over there.
Yeah,
he's more of an entertainer, not what AEW does with their just rest. Like is what it is. I'm not knocking anything there. I just think he fits WWE's vision of what a babyface is more than what AEW's babyfaces are.
That's fair. Yeah.
AEW's babyfaces are those guys who just go bell to bell nonstop and just blow the roof off. So that's
true. That's very true.
So yeah, he says, preach, Jimmy, preach. I hope I'm preaching. I hope I'm not wrong, or else I look like a fool, man. Ethan is to hate to say the perfect fall guy for the Seth Rollins. Hey, and being a fall guy isn't a bad thing. Sammy was a fall guy for a long time, and now he's one of the most over dudes on the main event scene. So, it works. Karen Cross he's not a fall guy, but he's been losing for the last 2 years. It works because it makes you kind of want to see them rise above it. So
I'm going to agree with you too. I'm going to say that Ethan Page wins. I don't know if I'm convinced that they're going to add another.
Loses.
I'm sorry, he loses. I'm sorry.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
I think he might get called up, but I don't know if I'm convinced that he goes with Seth's group. And the only reason why I say that is because, I understand the whole Plan B part. I get where you're coming from with them needing another person. The thing with me is that I just kind of don't think that group adding another person adds too much to it unless there's a plan in place. The thing is that you want to think that the idea is for them to take over the brand, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a tag team, and in my opinion, I would think that if they're going to use Bronson as, hey, you're the problem solver. We're gonna strap Braun back up with the Intercontinental title once I win the world title. That's going to be our next thing. But you're just going to be our enforcer. I feel like they need a tag team. I feel like they could put Bronson together with Ego. I just think that another makeshift tag team just for the sake of trying to take everything over, I just don't like it. Triple H usually thinks a couple of steps ahead, and to me, I don't know if they need somebody else. I think the Plan B was more of, all right, we're going to just strategically plan this out better to wait for, I don't know, after Saturday night's main event when Gunther eats 4 spears and 2 jackhammers, and he still ends up beating, Goldberg, and he's on the mat and he's almost out. Then maybe Seth comes and cashes in. You know what I mean?
I got you. Oh my God, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
But I do think Ego fits on the main roster. I do feel like there's a sense to me that Triple H wants Ethan Page on the main roster because he wants to book Ethan Page. There's just a sense to me that he's going to come up. I just don't know if it's going to, and maybe I'll be wrong, man. You know what? Maybe he will come and join Seth's group. I just don't know if that's where I think he's going to go.
Just my two counterpoints to it was, again, I don't think you're wrong. I don't necessarily think they need an extra person. I'm kind of going just by the math of things.
Sure.
And then I never even thought about the Ethan Page CM Punk connection until I feel like a few days ago. And I was like, wait, yeah, they stood, and Ethan Page has come out and said a few times, like, he's going to get Punk back. And
yes.
I think the perfect way to do that would be during the next CM Punk Seth match, which would be the rubber match, have Ethan Page come in and be the one that kind of costs him that while joining Seth. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But and then for a tag team, even if it would be a makeshift, I think Ethan is he's got chops as a tag team wrestler.
No, he's great.
Yeah, and I think him and Bronson would be a nice shot in the arm for the Raw tag team division because it sucks.
It needs something.
Like, I was just talking to my friends today about this today. Like, how did they fumble the New Day's heel turn? And it's like, because the Raw division tag division sucks. What could they have possibly done? Because there was nothing to work with. And
the thing is that there's teams there to work with.
There's a few, but like,
that's what bothers me is that, like, okay, so they have, like, I almost want to call it like the SmackDown 6. Like, they have those really strong, like, 6 tag teams over there. But Raw's not far behind. I mean, they have Judgment Day, New Day, the Viking Raiders. They have American Alpha,
who has been treated like a joke.
Where have they been? The LWO is still there. Where have they been?
I think one of them is injured. I'm not 100% sure, but I think
even still, you're telling me that you couldn't just sub Dragon Lee in if one of those two is hurt. Look, we saw him compete this week on television. Everybody was all mad. Oh, El Grande Americano is going to be on Raw, but what about Dragon Lee? And then Dragon Lee wrestled.
We're going to have the El Americano Grandes soon. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
This is a good. Who was Paul Heyman talking to on the phone? Exactly. I do think there's something there. And Ethan is also a perfect catalyst for Breaker to get jealous and start to turn away from their group, which they kind of did tease a little bit on Raw when Breaker kind of just stepped up and took the spotlight from Seth to start off. I thought it was interesting. I like that Seth didn't get mad about it though, because
he was with it. Like, he's like, okay, let's go.
Against the way he's been preaching things, like, I'm here to help these guys because they're the future. And if he would be getting mad at them, then it would be kind of be like, oh no, you're not there for them. So I do like that he didn't, and I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. But that is a good point. I think that would be something that would start the wedge a little bit for further down the road.
Right. And also, and I know that they're really not a team anymore, but A-Town Down Under is also still there too. So they have teams there.
They can do anything with them.
That's it.
None of them
look terrible.
None of them are threats. Like, that's the problem. Like, it's not New Day's fault that it was bad. It was the booking for the Raw tag division has been abysmal.
Yeah.
Abysmal.
Call a spade a spade. You know, look, we're not gonna defend everything that everybody does. I know we're trying to be very positive, but there are just things that are just a problem. And I think the Raw tag division is.
I think the talent's there. It's just booked badly. Like, there's nothing wrong with the talent. Like, that's not my thing. I think it's just booked horribly. But okay, so we both think Ethan Page is losing the title and moving up to the main roster. I think he's joining Seth. You do not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now we can move on to. I'm just gonna go up. So we're gonna move over to Evolution. We're gonna bounce back and forth on these things.
I like it.
All right. So the build for this one, I don't think has been anything special, but I do think it's arguably the second biggest match on the card, if not the biggest, because of who's in it. You have Io Sky defending her women's championship against the biggest superstar in the women's division today, Rhea Ripley. Do we think Rhea Ripley is getting her title back? I don't even know why I'm calling it her title. Do we think Rhea Ripley is getting Liv Morgan's title back this Sunday?
I don't even want to dignify that with a response.
Yeah,
I don't. I think Io threw some chicanery. Not that it's on behalf of Io, but I think somebody costs Rhea the match. I think that there's a lot of people that are talking about how Io's title reign has been a little bit lackluster.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of people are thinking, well, of course, it's Rhea Ripley. We'll just put the belt back on her and everything will go back to being better. I think that there's a point of Triple H almost thinking to himself, nah, I'm going to keep the belt on her and I'm going to book it better. Because there's been teases with Io Sky. We've seen that Asuka is totally cool with going back to teaming with Kairi Sane, but apparently she kind of doesn't vibe with Io that much. We saw Io and Kairi kind of get back together, but then Io's not coming out to help Kairi. I have a feeling that there is, and I think that there's a lot more stories to tell with Io as the champion than there is Rhea Ripley right now. I think you can tell a lot more stories with Rhea Ripley without the championship if they start moving people over, or if they do what I think they might be doing and positioning her and Stephanie Vaquer as a tag team at a point. I think that there's other things you can do with Rhea Ripley.
Carry her.
Can't even have a conversation with you today. No, but there are other things you can do with Rhea Ripley outside of having to put the championship on her. I think that Io having the championship gives her the elevation to keep her where she is, and that we can have the interesting feuds that we want to see with Kairi, with Asuka, and they can be for the championship.
So, all right. I'm with you. I don't think Io loses. And Nick here says, yes, Rhea wins this Sunday. They have been pushing the fact that Io has Rhea's number. And I think they continue with it. I think maybe chicanery happens here. I do think so. I don't know what it would be, though.
I don't know either. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. This is a tough one to call. Because usually when someone is having a lackluster title defense, even if it was no fault of their own, they will take the title off them just to give it a reset. But I think putting a title on Rhea Ripley without any real person that's been built up as a legit threat would be a mistake as well. So I'm kind of torn on this one. I'm sticking with Io because I do believe Triple H believes in her, and I think he just needs to get her in front of the team. Like, Liv getting injured kind of hurt Io a little bit here.
Yeah, because I think this was supposed to be Liv Morgan's spot. I don't know where Rhea is on this card without this match. Or
it was supposed to be at Night of Champions.
Right. That could have been. Yeah.
So I think that has hurt her recently, but I just think putting the title on Rhea Ripley right now during kind of like the lull season of WWE. But then again, SummerSlam's coming up and you got that Paris show, and it's like those are big shows. Rhea's a big deal. So
yes,
but it's a good match.
Nick brings up a good point. We got Crown Jewel in Perth. Yeah. I feel like that's where you put the title back on Rhea.
But I think they're in a position that's difficult, I think, right now, because I think taking the title of Io would be a disservice to her.
Yes.
And I think putting it on Rhea would be a disservice to Rhea, honestly, because, again, there's no real contenders for her. So I'm interested in how this one gets booked. I'm interested in how it goes. But I'm sticking with Io because that's my girl, and Rhea sucks. But let me get these comments, and then we can move on. So we both pick Io. That's great.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Yeah, we did.
Everyone's picking Rhea to win. Ron says he wants Io, though. Lou says, yeah, mommy's getting her. Liv is mommy. What are you talking about, Lou?
That's why Lou.
What are you talking about? Ron asked, does Naomi cash in? Not until Jade Cargill wins. That's what I'm sticking with. I've been seeing it for months. Harry's making a joke here because he thinks Naomi's going to take it off of Rhea after she wins it. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. He'll cash in on Nikki Bella, though. That'd be great. Io doesn't defend the belt, and again, I think the Liv Morgan thing hurt that, and so yeah, that's it. And all I see, Rhea. No, Naomi's not cashing on Rhea, man. She's cashing in on Jade. Jade's already a number one contender. She's gonna get that title match, and that's when Naomi's gonna cash in to screw her over.
Yep.
Nikki is a mommy for sure, but she's not mommy, bro.
Yeah, right, exactly. Come on.
I do want to get Dale's coming in because he wasn't here last week. So, hi guys, first time, long time. What was the latest drama that an anti-WWE fan has argued with you about? I don't argue with them anymore, Dale. So
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I've had some recently. I can't say that there's been anything like too crazy. I will say that there's a lot of negativity surrounding just that Ricky Starks interview already.
Is there?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't see this bullshit.
just the comments of, oh, an unpolished diamond, how could he say that when he's been on TV? He's 30 years old. He's still in NXT in developmental, things like of that nature. People who are living on their parents' basements and playing video games all day and tweeting with Cheeto fingers are telling people that them achieving their dreams isn't cool because apparently they're 30 years old. So God forbid.
I haven't had the drama of someone arguing with me, but I know if I put this out there in the universe, I would piss some people off. So I'll just make it quick now.
I love it.
I don't know if anybody remembers the promo that Triple H cut on CM Punk when CM Punk was sitting down and Triple H was saying, you don't want change unless that change benefits you.
Yes.
Remember this.
Yes.
And there's a certain fan base that loves to put that clip out there right now. And we all know who that fan base is. But if you were to take CM Punk out of that position and put Mercedes Moné right in that same position, guess what? It's the same thing. But y'all cool with it. So I know that would piss some people off. But am I wrong?
No. Look, We've
seen how she reacted in the past when it wasn't going her way.
And let's be honest here too. She left the same way as Punk, right? I mean, and now the question now becomes, does she have creative control? Which I think is stupid because no, she doesn't. That's something that's literally
think she has a lot of creative influence.
Yes, absolutely. But I think that people are stupid and they heard creative control when Hulk Hogan, who literally had creative control, and Bret Hart literally had creative control written into their contracts that they would actually literally can void those specific things, if veto them if they come up and say, hey, I don't want to do this. They had that. I don't think Mercedes has that in her contract, but what I do think she does is has TK's ear to say, hey, we have a woman who's coming in is writing for you. They're going to talk to you about what they're writing for you, and you're going to, if you have input, great. If if you think what we're doing is good, great. And I think that's the way it's working. I don't think it's written into her contract to say, hey, if I don't want to lose, I'm just not going to lose.
Okay, I'll ask you this question, yes or no, and then we can move because I still have a few more matches. Mercedes is one of the matches. So
cool.
Would it be considered creative control, though, if all these other ones that she's going to and winning their belts, if they said, hey, we want to have you on your show, and she says, the only way I'm doing it is if I win the title, and they that way,
then it's still not creative control because she can say that all she wants. The company has to make the decision, right? At the end of the day, inevitably, the company's saying, okay, they can still then say, hey, we're not going to book you then if that's going to be the case. Thank you for, letting us know, but we're just not going to book you.
I think that's the problem people are facing with this conversation is that they're sticking with the thought of creative control, whereas instead of it's not creative control, it's creative
influence.
Persuasion.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
This is how it's going to be because that's the way I want it. And if it doesn't work for you, then we're just going to have to talk about something else. And I think that, and right here, Ron says she's leveraging her star power. I'm going to agree with you to an extent. I don't know how much star power she has, but then again, I'm a hater. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
To be completely honest, I'm not her biggest fan either. But what I will say is that she has shown her value within the wrestling space because she is getting these big deals and she is getting a lot of companies that do want to work with her. I mean, the one thing I will say is that there are a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines right now in AEW that aren't working other dates. And she's on TV almost every week, and she's working other dates.
Hold on,
so I credit her there.
TK has flat out denied people to work other dates for other shows though too.
That is true. That is true. I don't know what the situation is, but
remember that because at first he was cool with it, but then somewhere along the lines he put his foot down and said no to it for some reason. I don't know what that is, but whatever. I'm moving on for Mercedes. I will say, Dale, Mordos has been a previous premium slot this past month. I'll say this. I love Beast Mordos. I have since the day I saw him. I think this is a troll job by TK more than it is anything. because he knows it's going to piss people off in this whole thing. I don't think that has anything. I literally think that's a troll job by TK because he is a troll. He's a part of the IWC. So, but okay. Next match from Evolution. Becky Lynch versus Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental Championship, in which I believe should be the main event of the show. Because
I'm going to agree.
Of the entire show, it is the only match that had any kind of build going into it. So, with that said, who do we see coming out of this match with that belt?
I think that it's Becky. I think that Lyra and Bayley kind of almost distract each other, and Becky takes advantage and she retains.
Okay. Do you think this is helping Lyra get to the next level?
Yes, 100%. I think Lyra has, look, people were talking about how maybe that segment on Monday didn't get off to the greatest start. And you can say whatever you want. I thought it was fine. I thought they did great. And I think Lyra held her weight with two of the best women's wrestlers on the mic. And I mean, two of the best wrestlers, period, on the mic. We don't even have to throw the word women in there.
Female talents in the history of WWE.
and let's be honest, Becky Lynch is one of the best promo people in pro wrestling history.
Yes.
So holding your weight there with two of the, two stalwarts of the company, I think Lyra is doing a great job, and I think it's very much helping her get over. And I think even in a loss, I think it's going to elevate Lyra's stock.
Okay, deal with this random question. Hey, it's Broken Wings.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Harry says he wants a beast. Oh no, Harry says Becky retains, but he also said he wants a Beast Mortos figure. Yeah, that would be pretty hard. As long as the AW figure is good, because they have been going down in quality recently. I don't like that. Even Albert, Jimmy, and Harry troll. That's all I really like to do on that site anymore is troll. I think it's funny.
I've pulled back on a lot of it. I've really tried to be more positive. I really, really have, and the good thing is that I get it out of my system because I do the very big, the very fun thing of tweet and delete. Like I really let it rip, and then I'm like, nah, all right, I don't even need to post this anymore. I got it out of my system. I feel better. I did tell somebody to go F themselves yesterday, but that's just because they were a complete troll, and that was just for fun.
Harry says Bayley wins at SummerSlam. Lyra is going to look gold in this match, and Bayley is going to start to see things from Beck's point of view. And Beck, I still think there's a possibility Becky and Bayley team up at some point, and I think this could be the start of it because I've been pushing for this since before Bayley came back. And again, having Lyra have to go get a youngin to help her take on the two veterans, I think is a good way to again utilize the veterans while bringing them up because Becky does it better than everybody. I think Bayley's pretty good at it. She wants to do it. Lyra, I was not a fan of Lyra. Like, I know she's really good in the ring. But ever since the Becky thing has started, she's impressed me every single week.
I completely agree. She's grown on me so much.
Was it her best? No, but it's better than what she was doing before.
Yeah.
She has attitude. I believe her now. I saw Vince Russo say some shit like, well, she's not believable.
It was Jonathan Coachman. Yeah.
Shut up, Jonathan Coachman. That's stupid.
I think that's the most believable that I think she's, like you said, that she's ever been. She feels comfortable.
Yeah, she's been believable this entire Becky time. I hope it stays after this ends and she goes on to her next thing. But fans will like her once you remove the wings. I do think that needs to go away. I think the woo would be good if people were vibing with it, but it doesn't seem like they do. I think it's working, though. I don't think she's one of these overnight success ones like Roxanne and Rhea was. I think it's going to take time to kind of get her there. But, yeah, she's good. She's really good. And she's going to outclass Bayley and Becky in this match, in that ring. Hands down. I can't wait to see it. This is one of my most highly anticipated matches of the weekend. I literally
Same. Yeah. I do have a question for you.
Right
before
here.
We move on,
and Bayley gets hired the new talent for sure.
100%. I'd be with that.
Bayley and Becky as a team against Lyra and Stephanie is a money program. Yes. So, all right, you have a question. Let's hear it.
Who wins the battle royal?
It goes with the EO thing. Harry, mute for a second. 3, 2, 1. All right, he's mute. He can't hear what I'm saying now. It's Nikki Bella.
I don't think so.
You can unmute now. You can unmute now, Harry. I think so. They had that moment backstage, and then there was online discourse, and I think Triple H will like to prove a point with that and put them in. And it's a Paris show, so putting her in that spot is, I'd rather it be there than SummerSlam. I'll say that. And then I think Asuka is going to end up facing Io at SummerSlam. That's where I think the trajectory of the women's title is for the next 2 pay-per-views.
Interesting.
You didn't mute it, Terry, you little punk.
I think that in going with the fact that Io is going to retain, I think we get a dream match in Paris, and it's Io Sky versus Stephanie Vicaire.
Don't tease me. This is clearly what I want.
Honestly, there's just a big part of me that I think Triple H is noticing how quickly Stephanie Vicaire is getting over. I think that he realizes, let's capitalize like we did with Jey Uso, and maybe we get another superstar on our hands. I think that winning the Battle Royal is a great test because it's not a big PLE for her to have a match, and if she proves herself, she's not going to not prove herself on a singles match PLE against Io Sky. Let's be honest, unless Paris sinks to the ground, like there's no way they're having a bad match, right? I really think that it sets her up for success, and even in a loss, because I don't think she beats Io. It sets her up as being an equal in that division, and I think that
on the same level.
Yes, and now she can be. That's a launching pad for her from here on out.
My only thing with that is I feel like she had momentum. She was over. The fans were reacting to her, and then she disappeared.
I know.
So that doesn't give me much hope going into the Battle Royal. And since Nikki lost her chance to get that live program for Evolution, I think the consolation prize is, all right, well, how about a title match at the Paris show? I think that's a good consolation prize. And I'm not mad at it because, again, it's one of those here's one of those superstars you guys never thought you were going to be able to see because we weren't doing the shows for you guys. Now here she is. It's a fanfare thing, and it's a thing for Nikki, and no harm, no foul there. I think it would be dangerous to have her eliminate Stephanie Vicaire last, though. I think that would be a stupid thing to do. I think booking the end of this is going to be difficult.
It's Nia or no one.
If she's the winner. So
it's Nia or no one. I'm sorry. It's because who else is there that's a heel enough that look again, Harry, maybe this is where you want to mute. I have been defending the Bellas I can't tell you how long online. Because the discourse around the fact that they feel that the Bellas are not a very integral part of the Divas Revolution is absolute, complete revisionist BS. Stupid. They're dumb. I get it. They're not the greatest people, in ring in the world. Whatever. Cool. I don't care. I don't care
China
about
wasn't either.
Sure. Sure.
That's the thing.
Right? But
there's levels to this.
Right. And only certain people get judged for it because, to be completely honest, I don't know how much better of a wrestler Liv Morgan is than Nikki Bella, in all honesty. I don't think that either of them are bad by any necessary means.
Hey, I can mute him, though. Go ahead.
But in all honesty, I think Nikki Bella is way better than she gets credit for. I really do.
Yeah, I don't think she's terrible. I just don't think she's all that. But her impact is not to be messed. That's stupid to try and say it's not what it was. With
all that being said, I think it's very dangerous to put her in a position where she's going to get a world title shot, to think that she's going to get cheered over a lot of these other women. There are, whether they're baby faces or heels on the roster, there are a lot of women that hardcore wrestling fans, and let's face it, they're in AEW country, around the AEW's biggest PLE, and if there may be those sets of people at that Evolution pay-per-view too, people who maybe aren't going to All In, but they're around because they're all the other festivities that get tickets to Evolution at the last minute. Do you think they're going to be cheering for Nikki Bella? I think it's a very difficult position for her to be in. I really honestly believe it's got to be Nia last, or who else? Who else is on that roster? Nia or Natty, maybe? I'm trying to think of who else. Who would Nikki Bella be cheered over now?
That's why I said the booking of this is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see, and it is Liv going down was up. Man, it's a huge blow to that women's division. I don't care what anyone says.
It really is.
I honestly feel like she's the most important piece of that women's division right now.
She's been ridiculously valuable. There's no
Nick says she's not Albert. Liv is good, but nowhere near as good as Jimmy thinks she is. You're right. She's better. Okay. Enough talking about freaking Nikki Bella. Harry's over there having the time of his life. It's not even his birthday yet. We're moving on. From one women's match to the next one, we're now moving back over to All In on Saturday. Too bad Evolution's counter-programming it, even though it's on like 36 hours later. It's going to be Mercedes Moné winning the AEW Women's Championship to add to her collection of 37 belts, that's right, yes, in a row, against Toni Storm. And
I got that reference.
What is the biggest women's match AEW can put on. I agree with that 100%.
Yes,
I've said this since January that this was going to be the match at All In, no matter what anyone said about Athena. There was no way that Athena was getting Mercedes at All In. I'm sorry, everybody. Just was never going to happen. It was Mercedes and Toni all the way, no matter what. So I'll ask you this, because I don't think there's any way in hell Mercedes doesn't win this match.
Same.
So do you think there's any chance in hell Mercedes does not win this match?
No, not at all. I think that there's a big part that people are going to be like, I bet you that Toni Storm wins just so Mercedes can say she doesn't have creative control. Like, I think that that's the only thing that like can be rattling around people's brains. Like, she's doing a belt collector gimmick. She's not losing a title match in the biggest title match she could possibly have in the middle of a belt collector gimmick. Simple as that. Like, and look, Toni Storm is the best, in my opinion. She is the best women's wrestler in AEW. I think she is their ace. I think she is the best thing on AEW television. Toni Storm.
Okay. I had to double check that. I was like, I thought he said Toni, but if he said Mercedes, I might have to mute him again.
No. I think she's done this job wonderfully since coming back. I think the feud with Mariah May even put her on another level, which is amazing because it's a talent that she elevated, and that feud put Toni on another level, which, I mean, never happens. It's almost like when Brett and Austin, like Brett makes Austin and then Brett goes to the next level as a heel. It's like nuts. That never happens. But I think Toni is so valuable that even when she loses this match, she can still be on TV every week and not even lose an ounce of momentum. But look, if you're going to be pushing Mercedes at this point this hard, there's no way you make her lose here.
So I'll say this. This is the interesting point because, man, that Texas heat right now is blistering. And they're in the middle of the day.
The roof's already closed.
Baseball stadium.
The roof's already closed.
It's closed?
Yep.
Okay. Good.
Roof's already closed.
Good for them then. I didn't know it was a retractable roof. I know nothing about baseball stadiums, so good.
Roof's already closed. I read that. Yeah, like they're setting it up with the roof closed because that people were saying the same thing. No way.
Will be a match that's 27 minutes long and will end up in a roll up because Tony Khan thinks clean finishes hurt feelings. I'll say this: I agree with you that he does that because of that reason. I don't think it happens in this match though. I think Mercedes Moné wins this clean to really solidify herself as the top woman in that.
Can I predict the literal finish?
Okay.
Tony passes out to the bank statement.
Yeah, more than likely because nobody taps out anymore.
Doesn't tap out. Yep, she passes out.
But yeah, and then I made this joke a few weeks ago, but I think we're really getting closer to that Mercedes Moné Talks pay-per-view where she defends every single one of her titles because that's the only way she's going to be able to lose one of those titles without it making her look bad. She's like, I wrestled 8 times. That's how I lose. And the only way I will cool off on this Mercedes Moné hate is, and people could say tribalism all they want. I've disliked her since she was Sasha Banks, so suck it. She comes out.
I never disliked her, but she's always my least favorite horsewoman. I'll just put it
yes. I dislike her more than Charlotte Flair, if that tells y'all anything. And I tried to give her a chance. I really did. Remember when we were in her with Tidy, and I really wanted to give her a chance after the interview, and no. But if she comes out on Dynamite, donning red and yellow, I might give her a little bit of a break. I'll give her that. Come out in a bleach blonde wig, wearing red and yellow. okay, brother, you got me. I'm in. But unless that happens, man, I'm just. She's one of the reasons I don't regularly watch the show. So,
see, I don't dislike her that much. There's a lot of other reasons why I don't regularly watch AEW. Most of it has to do with time, to be completely honest.
You don't like this, Lou? I don't think she can even dance anymore with all the titles. What's she gonna do? Go?
Yeah. What I will say is that I've never been a big fan of the belt collector gimmicks. The only time I've ever really liked it is when it's all the undercard belts. Like when Lance Storm did it in WCW, I was like, oh, this is cool.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I'd seen that.
And I was going to say, it doesn't. That was like one of the first times it happened. I was like, oh, this is cool. Every time it's happened since then, I'm just like, okay. I feel like everybody's trying to make it. Kenny Omega did it.
I didn't like Kenny Omega's doing it, and I became a fan of Kenny Omega during that time, but I didn't like the belt collector thing because I didn't like that he didn't drop the TNA title to a TNA talent. I hated that they made Christian do it.
I agree.
Whoever made the decision, that was a stupid decision.
I agree.
I'm not going to talk to Kenny Omega. He seems like a really awesome stand-up guy.
I was going to say the first person that really ever did was Ultimo Dragon. I was so young, I didn't really remember it.
I've seen the pictures, but I never saw him do it.
But my thing is that also all those were like junior heavyweight championships. So it wasn't like they were all world titles. You know what I mean? I that's why I think that now for like with with Mercedes, Kenny Omega, they were all like you're everybody's world champion. Like that's ridiculous. And also Matt Cardona did it on the indies too. But again, it was all these indie titles, so it made sense that you're not like, you know what I mean? Like
I made this like I was very adamant about this too during Ronda Rousey's first run. I thought she set the women's division back because she came in and just bulldozed everyone. And I think Mercedes is doing the same thing to the AEW women's roster because that AEW women's roster is amazing. Amazing. But after Mercedes beats Toni Storm, who can we realistically look at and say like that's going to be the one that dethrones Mercedes? Nobody. Anybody in the comments is free to comment on this too. Like if you have someone like who, because nobody, and it would take a long time to build someone up. So she's just going to carry those titles around for the next 6 months. This is crazy to me. Yeah. It's not going to work for me, sister. That's going to be her catchphrase. And again, I'll give her a little bit of a break because that would be funny. But
and the thing is that
if she vacates that TBS title, boo boo. That's boo boo.
Yeah,
boo boo.
I don't like. Look, I didn't like it when they did the same thing with Stephanie Vicaire when she won both titles and they just made her vacate one. I'm like, what are we doing? Defend it, lose it, then make that person number one contender for the women's title. And then when you beat her, then she's not the top contender anymore, but then she's a good, solid mid-card championship, and it makes your mid-card title look better.
Yeah, I'll say this, Lou. If Toni Storm beats Mercedes Moné, I will apologize for my slander next week on the show.
Look, I will say this.
I will flat out apologize.
I don't want to be that guy, but I want to kind of just piggyback off of something you said, and then we can move on from this.
Yeah.
You said that Mercedes coming in and running roughshod through this division sets it. It seems like it set it back. The only other person who's been this dominant over this division, and I'm not trying to say this as she didn't spend all of her time there, but an ex-WWE star in Toni Storm. Like, let's be clear here. There's a really big distinction at this point of saying that it looks like if you're an outsider looking in, the WWE women's talent can come in and wipe the floor with the AEW women's talent. I don't believe that's true. But if you really think about it, that logically, that's the way it looks, right? It's the same thing of, look, it's the same thing as, if you want to put that in an example the other way, so I won't be tribalistic, it's the same thing as AEW talents coming into NXT and winning every belt.
Or
over NXT. Yeah, sure. Or Cody is the world champion as well. Sure.
Okay, yeah, we can move on. I do want to say this because it's what I said last week during our Women's Mount Rushmore. Mercedes wins. I love Toni. I didn't say that because I don't like that. But Toni needs the cool off point to refresh her gimmick because I do think it has jumped the shark. And I think her losing here and being gone for like a month or whatever and coming back will revitalize the gimmick if she sticks with it or she comes back with something new that evolves from that. I think Toni needs that. That's just my opinion on it. I know a lot of people still love it. So
I do.
That's just my opinion on it. That's what I think. But again, I will apologize on this show next week to Mercedes Moné. Be like, I'm wrong, sister, because I just don't think it happened. But All right. Next AEW match. We'll make this one quick so we can get the other two because we are running low on time. Jon Moxley defending the AEW title against Hangman Adam Page. Do you believe that Tony Khan and the creative team of AEW, Sasha included, Mercedes included, I'm sorry,
you get us in trouble,
are going to deviate from the perceived original plan of Darby Allin and go with the hot hand of Hangman Adam Page at All In and have Hangman become a 2-time AEW champion?
I don't see how they don't at this point. Like,
okay.
Honestly, like,
okay. Second part of this question. Do you think it's a mistake if they don't?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that there are a lot of AEW fans right now that are trying to convince themselves that there was just a couple of rough months of the Death Rider story, and it's been good, since then. A lot of people are pointing to the Cope section of that feud, but then other people bring up, hey, it wasn't great before that either. It's been struggling. Just because the last couple of months have been built up well because we think that Hangman's going to win that championship, it's horrible. Like an awful gimmick if Hangman loses now. Because everybody's hated everything that they've done. They're holding their beautiful world title hostage and putting it into a briefcase, which to me, I don't care. Even as a heel, still doesn't make any sense logically to me. I just don't like anything that they're really doing. It's been one of the biggest deterrents of me watching a lot of AEW because every time they're on TV, I'm just like, I did really like the oh my God. I did really like that the build of Hangman though. I liked him winning the tournament. I like him being the guy. I think it's better than Will Ospreay because as much as I like Will Ospreay, and I don't love Will Ospreay, I do like him and I do enjoy him sometimes. But I know he's over with that fan base, and I know that there's a point that everyone wants to see him win the world title. Yeah. I think that for this story right now, it makes more sense for Hangman to do it. And even if they're trying to wait for Darby to come back, they can still do the same thing with Darby taking on Mox when he comes back anyway. Just doesn't have to be for the world title.
Okay. So I need to look this up real quick before I say this. Because I said this the other day, and you pointed out how crazy it was that I said it. I've been very famous for saying that I thought Hangman Page's AEW title run was probably the worst one they've had. I'll say it's worse than the Death Riders one. I'll say that. Like, that's how adamant I am that I thought it was bad. His matches were good. No question about it. But there was no driving force to that title or him being champion while he was champion. It was just kind of like things were there. It was like they had a plan. They got to the end of that road, and then they didn't know what to do.
I don't think that that's what happened. I think that there a certain guy from Chicago debuted and completely uprooted their entire booking philosophy.
When is AAW? So it's September 20th. So that's not even that close to this. All right. That's crazy because it's been a week away the last few times. So
they dialed it back a little bit, which has been nice.
Everyone knows how much I love Darby Allin and how I feel like he's got that Daniel Bryan winning the WWE title quality to him when he wins the AEW title. And it's not that I think he is a world champion material. I think he's just, when I think of AEW, like who's the person that reminds me AEW more than any other wrestler, and Darby's the guy. I think he embodies their spirit more than anybody. And I love the kind of wrestler that you don't think is going to be a world champion, but man, they bust their ass harder than anybody.
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
I'm not a big Jeff Hardy guy, but that's like the example, right? Like the guy that like he was in a tag team, you never really thought like, oh, he gained a lot of popularity, but they're never gonna put the world title on the guy, and then he wins the world title. Like it's, to me, like that's like Jey Uso is another good example.
Who?
Jey Uso is another good example.
Who's the one in TNA that won it? He had the beard, and he basically copied the Daniel Bryan.
Eric Young?
Yes. It's that kind of thing with Darby Allin. And, who's the flag bearer for the AEW? Well, the guy who literally just counted Mount Everest and planted the flag for AEW. Who's the one that this thing kind of revolved around before he left? It was Darby Allin. And Mox wants the younger talent to kind of stop being little bitches and kind of grow up. And he didn't like what AEW was cutting. He wants someone to like man up and take it from him. And whereas I think Hangman Adam Page has kind of stepped up. I said I think he's ready for the title now. And I don't think Mox's title run has been good because of Mox. I think it's dependent on his opponents. And of all of his opponents, I think Hangman is the only one that has made the title run feel important. I feel like he has done that. I got to give the guy credit where it's due. We all know how much. We all know how I feel about Hangman.
Yes, we do. And this is like music to my ears right now. Because you know how much I love Hangman.
I really try not to be biased with things. And I think if he wins, I think, yes, that's awesome because his arc is redemption. And if he saves AEW from Jon Moxley's reign of terror, that's redemption.
Yeah, 100%.
But if he falls short because they're saving it for Darby Allin, I'm not going to be mad, but that's also Darby Allin bias. Now, last question. Make this quick so we can get into the 2 Saturday Night Main Event matches. Do you think it's very possible that Darby Allin shows up and wins the gauntlet match to get that title match and cashes in on this evening?
I didn't think that could even be a possibility, but I would love to see that. Now, that's the only way I'd be acceptable of Mox beating Hangman is if that would be the case, is that Darby would cash in immediately.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Dale. But the moment for TNA people, they were loving it. They were like, "This is awesome" because Eric Young busted his ass for years,
right?
And he got that moment. It was a real feel-good moment. But yes.
TNA did that with a couple people. Chris Sabin was another one. He won the world title, and it was like, he deserves it.
I don't see Darby. Nick says, "Sorry, I don't see Darby as world champ. Never have, never will. All power to him, but he's not a world champ." I don't think he's a guy who's going to carry that title for months on end. I think he's a guy that literally is there to dethrone Mox and maybe just be a transitional guy, just so that he can be a part of that lineage. Because of how big and important he is to AEW. That's my opinion, though. Like, I think he's just that important to that company. Like, he is ride or die more than anybody for AEW. Because if it wasn't for AEW, he's not doing what he's doing. Like, it's never going to happen in WWE. Like, AEW is it for him. So, like, he's ride or die for him. He does a lot of stuff. Like, he does the vignettes for them. And, like, he's the guy. And I think giving him a moment would be cool. If it never happens, though, okay, that's fine too. But yes, so that's that. So you think Hangman wins?
I do. I think Hangman wins. Okay. Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna just be a Darby fan here and say I don't think Hangman wins. Whether Darby cashes in his little chip that night, I don't even know if that's possible. I think it is, or he just saves it for all out. I don't know, but that's my. I think Darby's still the guy. But I won't be mad if it's Hangman because I do think he's kind of stepped up and earned it. Man, I can't believe I'm saying this about Hangman.
I'm like, this is making me ecstatic. Like,
all right, Saturday Night Main Events. I'm going to talk about this match first because it may be the main event, but I don't think it's the most intriguing match of the night. I'm going to talk about Gunther versus Goldberg. I feel like we can go through this one pretty quick. Is there any chance that Goldberg wins?
There is, I would say, a 10% chance.
That's too much.
And why I say that is I think that they can definitely have Gunther drop that title to Goldberg and have Seth cash in immediately.
Okay. Here's what I think that idea doesn't work. Because I've seen a lot of people say this.
I don't think so either. I think Gunther wins, by the way.
This is Goldberg's final appearance as a wrestler. Having him be cashed in on, realistically, the Goldberg character would want his revenge and he would come back.
Right.
I believe this is his last hurrah. And I think
same
he's
here.
Going to go out to someone. I think he looks at Gunther and says, I'm fine with going out to someone like that.
Right.
Because Gunther is that dude. I'm looking at this match. I think this is my second most anticipated match because it has the potential to be the most batshit crazy, awesome 4 or 5 minutes of the entire weekend, or it has the potential to be a complete train wreck. I'm up for both of those. So
I can't wait to see Gunther chop the dust off of Goldberg's chest and send them packing.
I have it visualized, and if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be a little sad that I did this to myself. But I just want to see the chop. Goldberg no-sell it, and then Gunther slap him again, and then he falls like a ton of bricks just to be like, no, son, this isn't 1998 anymore. I want Gunther to wreck Goldberg. I wouldn't be mad at that. There's no outcome of this match other than Goldberg winning it that would make me mad. If it's a train wreck, I'm for it. If it's an awesome, like the Brock Goldberg match, I'm all for it. If he squashes Goldberg, I'm for it. I think it's just gonna be fun. And yeah, that's it. If Goldberg wins, I just can't see Goldberg winning. No way, no how. And hey, just to go back on this one real quick, Adam Page holding that title will bring darker days for AEW booking. I'm not sure of that. I think it's just a matter of preference at this point, man. And they're gonna roll the way they roll. And Swerve ain't gonna be doing that because he can't go after the title for a whole year, because that's dumb booking.
The other thing is, what I will say is that Tony doesn't book for television. I'm sorry, for television ratings or whatever. He books for his fans.
For those sickos.
He books for the sickos. He does. And look, more power to him, because I mean that's an owner who's doing stuff for his core fan base. I don't know how much business sense that makes. I don't have AEW's books, so I'm not sure. But I really do believe that he has endured so much goodwill by doing so, in a very similar way to what Paul Heyman did, booking for his hardcore fan base, right? It's not a bad thing. Just
if you have the money to fund it.
Right, exactly. And Tony does. Right. So even with people like, they might be disappointed with ratings, this and other, I don't think that Warner Brothers is anywhere upset with them being top 5 cable television every single week. Why would they be mad about that? Like it just, okay, maybe like, Rampage was a little bit like, okay, all right, no one's watching the show. But Collision's doing well enough. Dynamite is in the top, 3 TV shows of like the week, every single week on their night. Okay. Yeah. I just don't, I'm sure Warner Brothers,
they will. Like, but again, all these companies are kind of
right
in that same situation, though. Like, Netflix,
I think they're getting more out of this deal than you think they are.
Yeah,
right.
I think Netflix is a tremendous debt. So I mean, if some of them operate in debt because it's like easier for them, I don't know. I don't know that side of things. I'm not going to pretend like I do. But again, I just kind of stopped caring because it was a waste of my energy. Because it's like, if it works for them, it works for them. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If I enjoy it, that's all I care about. And right now, I'm not really enjoying it, so I don't watch it. And eventually, maybe it'll start get better, and I will start watching it. I don't know. Don't care. I'm just, at the end of the day, Tony Khan has created an environment in wrestling that is healthier for the business.
Yes.
And I think that's all I could really be happy about at this point with it. So if AEW never gets better, okay. Oh, well, he still made it better for the wrestlers. And
yes.
So, last match. LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. Yeah. Is this the feud we've been waiting for LA Knight?
I think it has to be, right? Like if he loses again tonight at Saturday night's main event, where honestly now we're at a point of where does he go from here, right?
Okay.
Like seriously, like the only thing I mean, and this is why I do think that I gave that 10% chance. I think you're right about Goldberg, but I think that how much sense would it make for LA Knight to beat Seth Rollins, then have to go to a completely different show after knowing he beat the guy that later in the night cashed in and became world champion. And then it's got to be like one of those things where Aldis and, like he's going to go to Aldis and complain. He's going to invade Raw. I think it really lends itself to it being a really cool arc for LA Knight. Do I think that it happens? No, but how cool would it be to see that that's the way they push him to get to the point where, okay, this is really cool. LA Knight's got a lot of this momentum. He's carrying it. And the only way he gets a chance to get his title shot at Seth Rollins is by winning the Royal Rumble.
So
it tells a really good story. I don't think it happens. I do think LA Knight wins tonight, though.
I was going to say that's long telling. I'm thinking more short, and I'm thinking, who does John Cena go against at Paris?
Yeah.
LA Knight.
Yeah.
We get there. LA Knight getting that signature win.
right
against Seth Rollins. And Roman returning on Saturday Night Main Event, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think CM Punk coming and costing Seth is a real possibility.
but
and that's stretching out because let's be real here.
That would be hard to do, though, because he's got two heavies on the outside. I think that we could see Roman and Punk.
Penta's there.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
And who is that? So I guess Roman it could be Penta, CM Punk, and Roman that come down there to kind of do all that.
To neutralize everybody, yeah.
But and that's not far from Roman's home, like where Roman lives, so it wouldn't be a travel issue for him because that's how he's living his life now. All the power to him, though. But I do think LA Knight needs the win here because this is the feud. He's been hot. The crowd is eating him up. Like he has not lost it all. And we talked about this with Jay. He never lost it, so he was rewarded for it. It is time to reward LA Knight with that. And I think giving him this match would be huge for him. I think a feud with John Cena would catapult him a little bit more. I don't think he wins the title for sure.
No.
Win it. But I want to see if he can hang with Cena on the mic. I want to see it. And if he passes that test, there's no reason that in 2026 that man doesn't win a world title. There's no reason for it at that point.
And remember, there's also a backstory here. When Cena came back the last time as a babyface.
So Punk, I almost called him Penta. Punk, Penta, and Jay out to neutralize the numbers game. So yeah, I don't see Roman returning on Saturday in main event.
But I
did just call Roman out, so that's true. That is true. And Cody did return on a Saturday. This is very true. These are very good points. But so we agree, LA Knight's going to win. Yeah. I love that.
But remember, I was going to say this is a callback too, because when Cena came back the last time, remember Cena raised LA Knight's hand to put him over as like that next rising star. So I think there's a lot of story to tell with them.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. I really am excited for this match. I know a lot.
I'm excited for the whole weekend, man. Like this is great. I don't know. People are complaining about like counter programming and announcing matches. Dude, we got so much great wrestling. Shut up and enjoy it.
Hey, I think AEW handled it great. They put it on at a different time. That way, there's no wrestling program. Oh wait, no, Great American Bash is out at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's fine. I'll watch AEW over Great American Bash.
I think most people are.
I don't. I'm just gonna have to watch it later somehow, some way. Come on, HBO Max, fix that crap. But yeah, I think it's awesome. Like, and MJF even come out and said this. Y'all shut the heck up. This is how business works, and it's great. It's fun.
Right.
It's amazing. So,
look, I'll say this one thing about counter programming really quick. Why is it always cool that whenever WrestleMania is in town, they can do 75 indie shows at the same time as all those shows, and everybody celebrates it? But if someone else like AEW is now going in and they're having a built-in wrestling audience there, why is it bad that WWE is also going and booking that same place? Makes good business sense, right? People are there. I don't understand why it's counter-programming one way and it's not counter-programming the other way. And people's excuse on the internet has usually been, well, WWE is bigger, so they shouldn't capitalize?
Okay.
It's good business.
Real quick. I do have a thing to say about that. October 3rd is when it comes out, so SummerSlam. I'm dreading that now. Why'd you have to even bring that son of a bitch up? We don't need that man anymore. So, to the counter-programming part, even if it was, and it's a butthead thing to do, I'm sorry. This is my beef with Tony Khan. He plays victim.
I agree.
If you go on national television during something that has nothing to do with wrestling and call the WWE the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling, and you expect them not to retaliate in any way, shape, or form. And I don't care if they were doing it before because Tony Khan has taken shots before. There's only room for one Khan in the wrestling business, and it's not you, Nick. It's me. Like, you can't. He
called Triple H and Shawn Michaels bald assholes on Twitter.
So you cannot push or... You can't.
Right.
You can't sit there and
that's the example, right? The example I use: if someone is like on a flight next to you that you don't know, and the whole flight they're poking you. Then at one point you turn around and just scream in their face, "Stop poking me!" And you're am I wrong for yelling at you, or are you wrong for instigating me yelling at you the whole time? Look, at the end of the day, it's a competition, right? They're both wrestling programs, and I get a little bit upset when people are like, when everybody gets all like happy about when other people run programs around when WWE does things, and when they get counter programmed, people celebrate it. But if WWE does it back to anybody, this is terrible. It's horrible for the business. They don't do it to TNA. Right? They didn't do it. Like, the only time TNA tried to counter-program them, and they destroyed them. And then TNA never went up against them again, and WWE never did it either. Because they were like, okay, you tried, you failed miserably.
You stayed in your lane.
Stay in your lane, we'll stay in ours.
But, like, and you can call it a bully thing all you want, but again, you can't poke the bear and then cry like,
right.
My wolf. Like, huh, why is this happening to me? Well, you instigated it just as much as they did. Like, you're not good. I'm not going to take this shit. Like, okay. And then it has to stop. Like, it's dumb. Like, if you want to be that guy, you want to take your shots, you want to do all other stuff, you have to just deal with the fact. And I will give Tony Khan credit for this. His response to it.
I was just going to say the same thing. He was very much an adult this time.
Was very good.
Yes.
Act more like that. And hey, I probably won't give you, I probably won't name call you as much. I do think he's a good dude. I do think he's helped out with the wrestling and like Dale pointed out, the wrestling employment of the industry. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about him personally. I just think he's an idiot to an extent, and he's very entitled, much like the fan base that gravitates towards this thing. And that's my issues with him. But
I will say this.
For what he does.
Right. Now, I will say this. I think he's noticing it because the last couple of times that he's done media, with the two biggest things that came out was, people, can you please stop gatekeeping this company? Because it's ridiculous that we're trying to get new fans in here, and you guys being like complete gatekeeping morons is preventing people to want to be fans. So could you stop that? And he was very much an adult about this whole counter programming situation. I think he's hearing that people are saying, dude, your fan base acts like, entitled, spoiled brats because you've kind of egged that on. I think he's stopping that. So more credit to Tony Khan for that. I think he's growing up. I think he's understanding what's happening and how his presentation affects his company overall. And I think he's looking to fix it. The problem is that their fan base just will not bend to that unless it's like forced upon them. And they are just, the one big thing I'll say is that TKO put up the lineup of all the stuff that they're doing over this weekend. And the first, I'm not even joking, 150 comments were about AEW. If you don't want us to think that your WWE is living rent-free in your head, stop talking on that and start blowing up threads that Tony Khan's putting up about AEW and promote your show. You're not winning over the WWE fan base. You're just doing it to get a rise out of them. And then you're getting mad, like we just talked about. You're getting mad when they come back at you. It can't be both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't poke the bear and then claim you're the victim. And I think Tony's learning that now. And I think he's correcting that. And I think he's doing a much better job. I think he's trying to cultivate a better fan base. I think it's going to be hard to reverse the damage that's already been done. But I think he is trying. You can. You absolutely can.
Ron brings this up. WWE accused WC of doing it. Okay, so WCW did it to a greater extent than WWE does it with AEW because they went up against their flagship show every single Monday night, which is fine. That's part of the business, and they basically gambled when they did that, and it paid off for WCW. But
for a little while,
at one point, WWE shut the fuck up and then put the boots on WCW.
Right.
And that's if AEW wants to do that. Again, all power to them. I'm not against it. I just hate that victim complex crap. I think it's stupid and silly, and it just goes to show your level of maturity.
Yeah.
If you don't want the smoke, don't start the fire.
Exactly.
So with that, we went in on there. So man, we agreed on a lot tonight.
That's did. Crazy. It's weird. Yeah.
I literally was pulling things from every show, and we still ended up agreeing there. Son of a, I'm gonna have to try harder next time. But thank you. Next time
we'll have 17 shows to break down.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and joining us on this Wednesday night. Much appreciated. I hope everyone enjoys this weekend. And if anybody has a way for me to watch All In like next Monday, like just hit me up on or get me to this real quick. and get rid of this real quick so you can see that tag in case you don't know what it is. Hit that tag up on X and let me know where I can watch it, because I do want to watch a few of these matches. I want to watch the gauntlet matches for sure. I want to watch Mox and Hangman.
I definitely want. I'm very interested in both of those gauntlet matches, and I love that they're doing the women's one. By the way,
I think the Mercedes thing, she has gotten to a point where I do want to tune in to see her lose. So it has worked to an extent, because I will celebrate the day that happens. But
I like that.
And then, yes, the Friday Nitro review this week will not be on Fridays. It'll be Tuesday morning again, because I am super, super busy. But I do want to keep it going because that has been a fun ride as well. So on top of all the other wrestling, I'm watching Nitro too. My goodness.
And I love the Lex Luger fan you've turned into. Yes. It makes my childhood heart smile.
So with that, again, thank you for spending your evening with us, everybody. We hope to see you again next week, where we will talk probably a lot about the post shows we were going to be watching this. And bro, I'm going to do it every single. This is how I'm going to open the show. I'm going to get you a wig and everything to do it too.
Oh no.
And Ron, you have a good evening as well, man. And yes, we will see you all next week. Thank you. And man, I'm going to do it one last. I swear I'm going to come up with a new. And
no, we're never going to do it. It's going to be Toodles the whole